Hello, I'm Roberta Winters, President of the League of Women Voters of Radnor Township. As you may know, the recent election has kept us very busy over the last few weeks. We've been working hard to make sure that everyone who is eligible to vote actually had the ability to vote in an accessible way. And now we're working to make sure your votes are safe and secure and counted, so everyone's ballot counts. Now, we have been advocating in many ways over the past decades. And today I have with me a special guest who has worked in more subtle ways to help members of the League of Women Voters celebrate our recent 100th anniversary while promoting voting and also advocating for the Equal Rights Amendment. It's my pleasure to welcome you today, with us today, Janice Martin, who I would like to have her tell you a little bit about herself. Now, Janice, what's going on and what do you do for a living?
Roberta, thank you so much for inviting me today. My business that I started years ago is actually Janice Martin Couture. And in that business, I design women's clothing for special occasion dressing, mostly bridal and evening wear. And obviously this pandemic has changed things. So we're not doing quite as many big, huge gowns, but we are still doing last minute and less traditional gowns and some other projects.
Well, given my difficulty in finding clothes that fit, I can understand how important your expertise must be. However, I met you not because I wanted a new outfit, but because I had heard you were actually doing some classy things that would help nonprofits like the League of Women Voters actually get out a message and do it in a way that might help provide a minimum amount of funding for us at the same time. Can you tell me about this project? I've heard about it called Sewn for Good.
Sewn for Good is a side business I started about 8 years ago. And we started out by purchasing fabric from a women's organization in Cambodia to support them. And then a few years later, we had the Women's March that I attended. I took over 300 photographs of the placards that were there, and I finally realized that with what I had taken photographs of, I could make scarves out of. And so we divided up the photographs I had taken into 5 different categories, one of them being specifically women's rights, one of them being a little bit more general in subject matter. And so we started with a couple of graphic designs that we hoped would help support organizations that we really believe in. Those being the ACLU, the Planned Parenthood, the National Constitution Center, and obviously the League of Women Voters was of interest to me because as a nonpartisan organization, I just thought it needed a little more attention and maybe a little more visibility because it wasn't an organization I was that familiar with. But what I knew about it was that it's very good.
Well, so once you did this March scarf, then you got involved in making some other scarves as well. Can you tell me about some of those other things you did?
So the scarves that we designed, the first scarf that we did and had made was for Planned Parenthood. And that shows literally real placards that were worn at various women's marches. The one that we did after that also incorporated the sayings from placards, but they were not the actual placards. And those are the ones we did for the ACLU. Then the third one we did is we were being requested by President Trump to bring jobs back to America. So I actually had the scarf, which we call MIA, Made in America. It is made here in America. And it had a lot of the signs on it, make America bold again, nice again, kind again, think again, make America gay again, actually. So it's a red, white, and blue scarf. And we did that one for the National Constitution Center because, again, that's a nonpartisan organization, and we were hoping to be able to help support that organization as well.
Well, when I saw all these scarves in your store, all I could think of was, well, that's perfect for this daughter, and that's perfect for that daughter, and that would be great for my friend. And then I asked you, well, can you do something for the League of Women Voters? Because obviously I knew we were going to have a 100th anniversary. And I was thinking, well, red, white, and blue, stars, the word vote all over it, things that I thought, well, that's the League of Women Voters. But obviously you had other plans in mind. Would you tell me how you approach that challenge so our audience can understand the kind of thinking you use when you design these projects?
So one of my concerns with any of the scarves that we designed was I didn't want to have the scarves have the logos from the organizations themselves on them, because I felt like that would limit their interest perhaps to people who are not into wearing logos, number one. Number two, my focus was to try and make something that was visually attractive, that would support the interests of each organization, that would have colors that would work well on various skin tones. And I wanted something, I'm middle-aged. I'm not somebody who's going to wear a t-shirt and look good in it. I can wear a silk scarf and I can wear that anywhere and I can feel like a grown-up. And that's partly what also spurred us on, because the only thing that was out there to express opinions on were things like t-shirts and coffee mugs. So a silk scarf, I felt, was something that somebody could wear to work, they could wear to the office, they can wear it with blue jeans, they can dress it up, dress it down, and it's a grown-up item. And so we designed silk scarves, and the only cotton scarf we did is the one for the the Academy of Natural Sciences, and that's our eco scarf. And that one is a square scarf, but all the others are long, narrow, that can be worn in a variety of ways. And I see that we're both wearing our matching scarves today for the League of Women Voters. And so when I spoke with my graphic artist, I said I really wanted something that would appeal from a graphic arts image. I wanted it to appeal from a sense of history, and I wanted it to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. So we put our heads together and came up with a scarf design that incorporates iconic graphics such as the Lady Liberty, the 19th Amendment. It's a little bit edited, but it's around the outside of the scarf, as is the Equal Rights Amendment. And then there are spaces on the scarf where women who were involved, and a few men I think are on the scarf too, but primarily women who are involved in both the civil rights movement and or abolition and suffragettes. And it's just this really cool combination of names that we harvested from various sources, from covering women from probably the early 1800s until the present, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So we did have a couple of women on there that are still living at the time we made this scarf, but it really covers a vast timing range of women.
Well, obviously, I love it, and I wear it frequently and get lots of compliments. And I think it just regret that the people in the national leagues could not all see it because our convention was virtual. However, I keep it and I wear it, and we regret that, again, we will continue to merchandise this for you because we think it's something that goes beyond our 100th anniversary. Now, you've covered a few of your Sewn for Good scarves, and I'm sure, as we all know, small businesses aren't doing great in this pandemic. And, we don't go out and wear our silk scarves too much to go to a fancy restaurant or to go to a concert or to the latest event in town. So what are you doing with yourself now that there probably isn't as you said, big events, huge weddings are being canceled? What are you doing to keep yourself afloat?
So we are still doing a few gowns for people who are last minute or suddenly need a dress appropriate for the backyard wedding as opposed to the big Four Seasons wedding. But when the pandemic was first announced and supply chains were limited, I decided to start making masks. And I thought, I don't want to make just any mask for hospitals. I want to make masks that medical personnel can wear. So I worked on a variety of different patterns and styles, and I have had the mask that we designed vetted by 3 different hospitals, special disease specialists, to determine that these masks can be worn by medical personnel working with COVID patients. And then I sent out kind of a mass emailing, and I ended up with about 17 women who were interested in sewing. And some of them were interested in sewing as volunteers through our church. And they make masks that I can then give to what we call civilians who are not medical personnel. And these masks are given out to anybody who needs them. And if they have funding or finances they would like to share with us in exchange for these masks, that money goes to help pay for professional seamstresses who make the masks that we donate to the hospitals. And we're up to, we've distributed about 4,200 masks, most of which have been given to local hospitals. I have I think it's another 1,500 that we're going to be giving to Einstein Hospital within the next 10 days. And it's turned out to be a really neat project because the women that have been laid off from their jobs due to the pandemic and who really need the sewing income are thrilled to be making these masks. And so we started out doing those for the hospitals, and that, again, didn't bring in much in the way of income. But then because people started seeing them, we have now started making logo masks. So we've done some for nonprofits like an animal shelter. We did one for the Heart Health Initiative at one of the hospitals. We've done some for law firms. And then because we had already designed our scarves, we started doing them for sale. These are the ones that are actually for sale. And they're $25 a piece. And then 10% of all sales go to whoever the print is associated with. So this is our eco scarf for the Academy of Natural Sciences. Yes. And so that raises funds for the Academy. And then we've still got our Made in America scarf, or mask rather. And so it's kind of morphed into this business. It's become it's really kind of fun. And like I said, it keeps the seamstresses with some income coming in, and they're really good quality. These are all washable, and they've got 3 layers, and they've got a pocket for an N95 to help protect the N95 or a surgical mask. So they're fabulous masks.
Well, I really love mine. And
Looks
what
great.
I really like about it, Janice, is it's comfortable to wear. You know, I put some of these masks on, you can't breathe. You know,
Yep.
The way you fashioned it, it has like nice little gathers at the top and has elastic that you can adjust on the sides. And it just fits really nicely. And, I can breathe with it, which, makes my life a lot easier. So I'm sure there'll be lots of other individuals or groups that will find your expertise to be most valued. If they wanted to come to you, Janice, and say, well, I'd like to have a scarf, or I'd like to have a mask made up, to forward my organization, or what would you do? How could I get a hold of you?
They can contact us through our website, which is Sewn for Good, or actually probably better is through my email address, jm@janicemartin.net.
Can you say that again?
jm@janicemartin.net. So that's my direct email address, or they can call us. And we're listed in the book under Janice Martin Couture. And there are a number of different ways to reach us through our various websites. And I'm happy to speak with anybody and work with them and figure out what would be the most attractive graphic for them, as well as what I think is saleable. I know one of the concerns that we had with doing this was pricing. And so we have actually come in, we are pricing everything we do at less than a normal retail markup rate, simply because we wanted to make what we're doing more accessible to the public, and at the same time be able to allow us room to donate money to the various organizations that we're contributing to.
Well, as someone who works in an organization, you really make it simple for us to move forward and get a message out in a way that's really classy. And so I think that's what makes a difference. For me as a person involved in an organization, I'm sure it would make a difference for other people too.
Thank you very much for that, because that is one of our goals. We try to make it easy for other people, and we try and produce something we think is really attractive, as well as the important message that needs to be promoted.
Well, I would just like to wrap up for now, Janice. It's been a pleasure to have you, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania, to whom the profits go to from our scarf, and our league in Radnor, we are grateful for your talents and that are helping to tell our stories with what we would call a fashion statement here. We thank you for joining us today, sharing your creative work that you're doing for a good cause, and also helping to support financially women who need jobs in today's tough economy. We're appreciative of your ongoing support, and that also of Mainline TV 21. They have an important role in our community to help educate people about the important issues and about important individuals like you who are making a difference here on the main line. We are always happy to have you, our audience, tune in to our programs to listen and learn from the League of Women Voters of Radnor, and we hope you'll join us, our members. Membership is open to all, and it's free for students. And don't forget to check out that website, not only lwvradnor.org, but Sewn for Good. You'll be glad you did. Thank you for tuning in.